Welcome to this video on using set files. I had originally intended to discuss optimizations, but no, there's not enough time without making the video too long. So let's have a look at this in MT4. Firstly, to bring up the strategy tester, we need to go to the View menu and select Strategy Tester. And when the Strategy Tester window opens, we need to select our EA, which is Trader's Gift. We're going to use a Euro USD, which I have already pre-selected. Now, the model to be used is open prices only, which is the fastest method to analyze the EA. It's specifically written to handle that situation because all the strategies involve a bar close on the previous bar. Once the optimization has been carried out, you may refine it by looking at tick data. It particularly helps for looking at updates for trailing stop losses. We're going to select the use day, which is already ticked, and the optimizations I normally look at are only the last 3 months, and in this situation we'll look at the 1st of February to that should be the 30th of April. So that's 3 months prior to the beginning of this month. Now, to bring up the Inputs tab, we need to select Expert Properties, which is up on the top right of this window. I'm selecting Expert Properties. Now, when the Expert Properties input box appears, it may be sitting on this Testing tab, which is the first tab. If it is, just make sure that you have Genetic Algorithm ticked. And the meaning of that is simply that if you use the genetic algorithm, you're not going to step through the possibly millions or even billions of iterations in some optimizations. So it's just going to speed things up. So make sure that's ticked. We're interested in the Inputs tab, which is that one there. Now, the first thing and most importantly is if you're dealing with a new optimization, you need to press the Reset button, which is the bottom right button. By doing that, we reset everything back to 0 in effect. Now, for the purposes of the exercise of discussing set files, we're going to set up a simple optimization, and that is using stop loss, take profit, and the RSI strategy. I did make mention in the first page of the thread that no optimizations are set up by default, so we're going to have to set up that RSI optimization. Firstly, let's get to stop loss, which is out on that particular fellow there, and you can see that the EA is preset it at 10, but we're going to optimize that figure. So I'm going to start at a figure of 10, which is the same value as the preset value. We're going to stop it at 100, so I'm double clicking on that particular input, changing it to 100. I'm going to double click on step and change that to 5. So what we have there is a optimization starting at 10, finishing at 100, and stepping up in steps of 5. And to enable it to be optimized, we need to tick the box out on the right hand side, the left hand side. We're going to use the same for take profit. So once again, 10's the start, the stop's going to be 100. And the step will make the same at 5. And once again, we're going to have to tick that box. Moving down to the RSI, and one of the reasons for saving set files is that particularly on an EA such as this, where you've probably got close to 100 inputs, you don't want to have to redo this each time you want to revisit the optimization. So first thing to do here, and I'll just move up a bit because there is a help explanation there, is that we have to enable this strategy. By doing that, we're going to change the use RSI value from 0 to 1. Double click, change to 1. Now, a lot of people I see in some of the support work I do, I see that box there ticked, but if you tick that box, it's not achieving anything. All that is doing is saying that we want to optimize this particular value of 1 between a start and a stop value. We don't want to. The only thing we want out of that particular input is simply that it's selected to 1. We are, of course, interested in the next 3 inputs. And it's preset at 14. We want to change it from 10 to 20. And step of, well, we'll leave it at 1 for this one. And let's have a look at RSI top level. We'll go 50 to 90. Rather than make that one, let's just speed things up a bit by making it 2. And just a note on these step values, in MT4, when the genetic optimization, or any optimization for that matter, is carried out, it will respect the step values. So the greater the step, the faster the optimization will occur. And sometimes you need to ask yourself, do you actually need to have it step up in steps of 1, or could you cut the time in half? Or in actual fact, when you're doing multiple variable optimizations, reduce the time dramatically by changing the step value. So we'll leave that at 2. And same with this one, which is a minimum level. Rather than just looking at the 70-30 levels, we're going to look at levels between 10 and 50 for the bottom level and 50 and 90 for the top level, step of 2. And of course we've got that one optimized. Now that is automatically ticked because we started making inputs here. If we hadn't made any inputs there, that would not be automatically ticked. But that's one of the good things about it, is once you start making your inputs, it's automatically ticked out the side. So what we have at the moment is we've set up stop loss, take profit, and RSI. Now, in the real scenario of talking about optimizations, at this point we'd just go ahead and carry out that optimization, but that's a subject for another tutorial. More importantly for us at the moment, we want to save this, and this is the purpose of the tutorial. So we're going to click on save. The save is to give you the ability to save the set file. Now it will default to the tester directory, which is inside a hidden directory within MetaTrader. Because I'm going to be using Strategy Optimizer after this, rather than save it in this particular directory, we're going to save it in the documents directory, my documents. And I've previously done this exercise, but I'm going to call it RSI set, so I've just highlighted that and it's dropped down as a file name. It's a good starting point for a quick save. I'll save that, and just because I had saved this one before, we've got that precautionary pop-up. Now that has saved that optimization, and just to prove that it has been saved, I'm going to reset everything back to 0, which is the way we started. You can see we've lost all these step and stop values, no ticks, and same up here with the stop loss and take profit. We'll load that one back in. Unfortunately, it still defaults to that hidden directory, but we know we saved it in my documents, so I'll reselect it. And you can see immediately that what has happened is that that's been loaded back in. We've got the start, step and stop values, and the boxes are ticked. So when you save any set of inputs, it saves the subject of the optimizations, and it also knows that that box has been ticked. Now, after I've finished the Strategy Optimizer part of this discussion, I'm briefly going to show you these values within the set file by opening a text editor, and we'll just help you appreciate a little bit more what's going on with these set files. So let's just verify that we did in fact retrieve what we set out to retrieve, and we're down at RSI. That's changed to a 1 again. The boxes are ticked out here, and we have values starting from 10 to 20, steps of 1, and similarly the setups that we saved previously. So at this point in time, we could click on OK, and as long as that box there is ticked, we can click the start button, and then our optimization starts. But more on that in the next tutorial. I'm going to start up Strategy Optimizer now, and we're going to actually load that set file that we saved. So I'll just go off screen, and we're now starting Traders give strategy optimizer. It is no coincidence that these boxes are ticked because they are the default values. It's just my way of saying that if you like, I like you to start with RSI, but you can disable that, which is what I'll do here, because we want this program to recognize those values that were saved from MetaTrader. I'm going to unselect them over here, and these are default values. I'll leave the use trailing stop loss ticked. And at this point in time, we can't open the set file. The button has disabled. Now, there's a very good reason for that, and that is because we saved this file as an RSI.set. The program has no way of knowing what you're dealing with, so we need to let the program know that we are in fact dealing with the Euro USD. It is a 60-minute time frame, and we're dealing. We want to deal specifically with February to the end of April. So, as with all optimizations, we should check the date. So this will default, by the way, to 3 months prior to the beginning of the current month. So the current month is May, 3 months previous to the 1st of February, and I'll set that one there to end of April. We do need a time frame of 60 minutes, and just a quick digression on this time frame selection. It's no secret that I don't like the earlier time frames, the shorter time frames. I find that we get caught up with commissions. So you're going to see Strategy Optimizer start up as a default time frame of 60 minutes. You can select the other time frames, but that's why that sits on 60 minutes on start. Now, UT4 to MT4 offset depends on where your broker has set up his MetaTrader platform. There's a majority +2, but some of the US brokers, of course, are -5, but we'll use +2 for this one because the data that we're loading is based on GMT data or UTC data. So having checked these inputs, we'll select the data. Now, in my particular situation, it's situated in this directory here. We'll select Euro USD. Now here's the progress bar moving across, which you saw in the introduction, verification of data. Once it's loaded, the success message, and a prompt to start on optimization when the inputs are completed. Inputs are not completed at this stage. We've deselected everything, but we're going to load in the set file that we saved from MT4. So that's where we're clicking on this open set file. That, by the way, that is now enabled as a function of having selected our data and nominated the time frame. So I'll click on open set file. Once again, it defaults to the last directory it was in, but we're going into my documents. We'll select RSI set. Now the minute I select that, and it happens in an instant, we've got all the inputs that we selected. So what we have is this box here is ticked. And with RSI, we've got the period set from 5 to 20. Well, we actually set, I think, 10 to 20, but Strategy Optimizer, in its wisdom, has decided that it wants 5. So I'm not going to argue about that. There is no step because Strategy Optimizer determines its own step in the genetic algorithm. We've got the bottom level from 10 to 50 and the top level from 50 to 90. Over here, stop loss 5 to 100. Once again, we saved it's 10, but Strategy Optimizer has decided that 5 is a little bit better for the purposes of its optimization. I don't see that as a problem. Same with the take profit, and we're now ready to start that optimization. I don't expect a lot from this, but we're going to go ahead and do it just for the purposes of the exercise because I want to show you just a sneak peek at optimizations. And then finally, to wrap up this tutorial, I'm going to save an improved optimization, and we're also going to have a look at the set file in a text editor. So we'll go ahead and start the optimization. We showed you this in the introductory video. And I mentioned it may stop a little bit just right at the end, but here's our optimization. Not a great result, 1,000 odd dollars in profit, or just under 1,000. And I'm going to go back to the show inputs area. We're just going to see if we can bump that figure up a little bit. We'll use the stop loss multiple, and I'll use take profit. We can deselect that because take profit's determining the value of, the take profit multiple is determining the value of take profit. And that's only an extra 2 factors. Shouldn't take much longer, but we'll restart the optimization. And not much longer, and this will now pop up. Well, you can see the end result just by ticking an extra 2 boxes with these money management factors. We've bumped that balance up to 20,794. I only did that because I wanted to show you the save set file thing. We're going to save the set file in Strategy Optimizer. So to do that, we're going to click on the Save Set File. Now, more importantly here, I wanted to show you, I'm just going to unhighlight that for readability, the smart file naming within Strategy Optimizer. You don't need to worry about giving it a name because the program itself is simply identified it with TG for Trader's Gift. It's given you the currency pair, the time frame, and the start and end dates, and the strategy involved. Now, it would be ideal in a perfect world for you not to have to load in your own data. And indeed, in the Strategy Optimizer Auto version, this information here is absolutely critical because it draws from that file name the information that we had to set manually. But because not everybody is saving set files, particularly from MetaTrader 4 with a full file name, I've deliberately disabled the load set file until you have nominated your start and from dates and loaded your currency pair data. So that's just a little explanation about that file naming. And of course, we can go ahead and save that. If we were to look at the directory now, we would see, if I can just briefly go into my documents, I'll bring that one up. And hopefully this fits within the screen that we're looking at. If we go down there, we can see the RSI set and a TG file which is saved, and that's that guy there, 28th of May. So you can see that now we've got the original setup there and the improved one down there, but this one has a smart file naming. Now, in closing this video, I wanted to discuss the opening of the text file just for a quick look at the I'm going to reload that again because I did have it loaded, but I wanted you to have a look at this. Now, right at the beginning, you can see each particular input has about 4 headings with some numbers and some F and a 1, a 2 and a 3, and I wanted to briefly discuss the ones that we were working with. So with stop loss, we have stop loss equals 10. Now, with the stop loss, a straight equal sign and the 10, that is the optimized value. So that is the value that we arrived at after we did the optimization. We didn't actually run the optimization, so the value is still preset at 10. But if we did the optimization and that came through at 35, and we double clicked on that optimization, that is the value that would be sitting there. But more importantly, the second line has a comma and an F equals 1. The F equals 1 is significant because that indicates that this value is being optimized. If it wasn't being optimized, it would be like the stop loss ATR periods would be sitting at 0. So that's an indication within the text file or the set file that it's being carried out. Now the next 3 inputs are the 1 equals the start value, the 2 equals the step value, and the 3 equals the end value. So you can see how set files are saved as, in actual fact, text files, and that was how I was able to interface Strategy Optimizer with MetaTrader 4, and the reason that the 2 files are interchangeable with each other. Now, I don't want to make this as a promotional video, but I think you would agree that if we go back to Strategy Optimizer, the information is presented in a much more readable fashion, and the whole optimization exercise is just so much easier within Strategy Optimizer. So I will probably give you a brief introduction to optimization on Strategy Tester within MetaTrader, but we'll spend most of our time within Strategy Optimizer. And just remember that the free version of Strategy Optimizer will always remain that way. It's only Strategy Optimizer Auto, which does all the optimizations automatically, that I'm asking you to fork out with your hard-earned dollars. That just about completes this video. I hope I haven't bored you to tears, but it is a subject that needs to be addressed by everybody. Thank you for your attention.